This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time.
Who's this?
Joe.
Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. This might be the guest I've been most excited about to ever have. Ladies and gentlemen, calling straight from prison, the one, the only Tiger King himself, Joe Exotic.
You may begin speaking now.
Joe, the man himself.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing better than you, I think.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Sir, I have a lot to talk to you about. Now, you have...
Okay, well, we got 15 minutes and the phone will hang up. And then if we need more time at 8 o'clock, I can call you back for 15 more.
Let's do that. Okay, thank you. And if I can get you some cash in any way to help with anything or the fans, please let me know how we could do that.
Okay.
So I got a lot of questions. I want to talk about getting you out, but I want to talk about something positive first. You probably don't know this about me. My first job was writing for an aquarium magazine. So I'm very tropical fish hobbyist. I'm very familiar with animal husbandry, and that is obviously something that's a passion of yours, something that you love. So can you talk to the fans a bit about what drew you to big cats in particular, but private zoos?
Well, I started as a police chief way back in the day. Okay, and then when I had my auto accident, I moved to West Palm Beach and I started doing my physical therapy and rehab there because I was in braces from my neck to my toes. And my neighbor was the manager of Lion Country Safari, and he brought home all the baby tigers and lions and monkeys and stuff at night to bottle feed. That's what got me interested in the exotic animals. Then in 1986, I moved back to Texas, and me and my brother bought a pet store in Arlington, Texas. And we had exotic animals and saltwater fish and freshwater fish, and we did that until 1997. Then he got killed in a car wreck south of Dallas, and I moved to Oklahoma. I sold everything and moved to Oklahoma and to take care of my mom and dad. And me and my mom and dad built this sanctuary in memory of my brother. And believe it or not, I've never even seen a full-grown tiger in my life.
Oh.
Okay. And you're going to think this is crazy, right? So in 2001, we opened the zoo in 1999. In 2001, Ardmore, Oklahoma Police Department called me and said, "Hey, somebody moved out of this neighborhood and they left 2 tigers and a mountain lion and black leopard in the backyard. Can you come get them?"
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I said, sure. So I loaded up my vet. We hooked up the horse trailer, and we get down there, and these animals are like so skinny and so starved. It's pathetic.
Oh.
Okay, so we tranquilize them. I put them in the horse trailer. We get them back to the park. And I'm the only one there because we still aren't big enough to have any volunteers or employees. Okay, so Brian, my other half at the time, was in the house dying on hospice. So I was there by myself all the time. Well, I locked myself in the cage with these 2 full-grown tigers that were sick, and I would clean the cage, give them their medicine, and I'd rub on them because, they were so sick they couldn't even hardly walk around. So I did this every day. I should have died 1,000 times, okay? I did this every day by myself. Locked myself in this cage with these full-grown tigers.
Wow.
And then about 6 months down the road, I get up and I go out, lock myself in the cage, go to clean the cage, crawl in their wooden cabin that I built for them to clean in there. And here's 6 little baby tigers.
Oh, wow.
Okay? My first litter was 6 tigers. Okay, now that was my first experience with baby tigers, right? So then, just out of the blue, every game warden, every sheriff's office, everybody across the entire United States started calling me to come get tigers.
Oh.
Okay, and And it got in 2006. It got so many calls that, honest to God, Michael, I rented semi cattle trucks to go rescue them. There were
Wow.
so many of them. Okay, my biggest rescue was 42 at one time.
Wow.
And so people started calling me the Tiger King back in 2006, before any of this ever happened, right? And how I got the name Joe Exotic was, in order to pay for the zoo, I traveled doing magic shows.
Okay.
Okay, and I used, skunks and doves and little animals, and the kids couldn't say my real name because my real name was Joe Schreiber. So they called me Exotic Joe. So Joe Exotic just got turned around, and here I am, Joe Exotic the Tiger King.
I was recently at the Dallas Zoo and Aquarium, and I don't think people appreciate how big tigers are. Like, you see the pictures, but when you see it in real life and you see how it moves and the strength, this is no joke. They're the largest land carnivore in the world, incredibly intelligent. So, I mean, can you talk a bit about the dangers, besides the obvious ones? Like, what does it take for like animal husbandry at that level?
Well, a full-grown tiger.
This call is from a federal prison.
Because we picked up, dead cattle at feedlots and stuff like that.
Sure.
That's how we fed them. And that's how I kept my tigers so healthy, is because they got the bones, the meat, the hair, and everything. But a full-grown tiger has enough neck muscle that they can lift a 400 or 500-pound cow.
Holy crap! Yeah, right.
With it,
yeah.
Okay, and run with it. All right. But what a lot of people don't understand is a tiger is the only animal on the planet that can take your pulse with his canine teeth.
Oh my God.
Okay, so every time a tiger grabs something by the neck, they don't let go until they can feel that heart stop, because they can feel the pulse with their teeth. So that's how come almost everybody, Ryan Easley, that just got killed here a couple weeks ago in Oklahoma by his tigers, they got him by the neck. They got Roy Horn, Siegfried and Roy by the neck, because that's what tigers do. But how I got away with what I got away with, because let me tell you, over 23 years, I probably interacted with close to 4,000 tigers, because I donated them to zoos all over the world, so they didn't have to buy tigers.
Right.
And I never got hurt. I walked in a cage of 20 at a time, because I never made them do anything they didn't want to do. If I walk in a cage with 20 tigers and only one wanted to come up and be loved on, then I only loved on one. But, if they wanted to stay away, they stayed away. But people that in the industry for circuses and stuff like that, they don't want that bond. They have to be scared of the tiger has to be scared of in order to make them do tricks. And that's where people get hurt. And that's the crazy part about why I'm even in here, because of the Big Cat Safety Act, that Tiger King, portrayed and tried, they passed that law. It didn't do anything for tigers. It didn't do nothing for tigers, because everybody that was breeding like I was USDA licensed. So that law don't apply to them.
You know how messed up that law is, and I can speak from my own experience. So I'm into succulents, right? And there are these many species that are very rare in nature. But what happens is you get someone with a greenhouse, he propagates it, and now you have thousands of them everywhere, and you can reintroduce them to the wild. Tigers, it's the habitat that's being encroached. And where do the people in the zoos think they're coming from? They're not coming from thin air. So if you
they're not coming from the wild either.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, if you have private breeders who are respectable, that is how you keep a stock of any of these species alive, instead of just complaining, they're going extinct. People are doing something about it, but now that's been nipped in the bud. And how is that helping the tiger?
It has, because I donated more blood, more DNA of tigers and lions than anybody in the world to the National Institute of Health and Texas A&M University to keep the bloodlines so good.
Right.
And what people don't understand is private ownership. If this guy has only one tiger in his backyard, and the guy across in California's got two, and the guy in Washington's got one, those bunch of the best bloodlines there are because they haven't been watered down and inbred.
Right.
Okay? But they just took that away. Okay? They just killed the species. And what people also don't understand is every time a tiger is spotted in the wild that comes into town or to a village, they kill it.
Yeah.
No different than a mountain lion in California.
Of course.
They kill them. There is no habitat. So the thing that Big Jack done was making them become extinct.
They don't even kill them just for that. They kill them for their teeth. They kill them for their fur. They kill them for their bones because people in China thinks it gives them boners. It's insane.
And as bad as it sounds, Michael, wouldn't you rather have somebody that's gonna make something out of a tiger? Wouldn't you rather buy one in the United States
That's right.
than shoot one in the wild?
Of course, it's so obvious.
And that's what I never could get across to Carole and all of her cronies is it just like the drug market. How are we ever going to stop drugs? Make it legal, right? How are we ever going to stop them poaching tigers?
Right.
Breed them for commercial purposes.
Right. You're never going to, there's no shortage of cows or chickens or anything else.
No.
Exactly. So let's talk a bit about, I want to talk a bit about the show. What was your impression of how that show came off, in your opinion?
I was disappointed, and a lot of people don't realize that I did not film for that show.
Okay.
Eric Good with Royal Good Productions stole all of that footage from my YouTube channel.
Oh, wow.
Because I was in jail 2 years before they even filmed that.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't make a dime from Tiger King. Everybody thinks I got rich off of Tiger King. I didn't get a dime. They even gave credit to my music to someone else and paid him because they didn't want to go through the trouble of paying me and coming to prison to get my permission. So I even had to sue the guy that claimed my music.
Wow.
But what it done that I was disappointed in, they made me out to be a meth head, which I wasn't, okay? I ran 3 restaurants, a zoo, and a nightclub, and I took care of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the only one in the entire show with a set of teeth wearing clothes. No one else had teeth, okay? And who the hell interviews a hitman in a bathtub?
Fair point. So I saw something, you were just kicked off of Twitter. Do you know what happened there?
I got a letter from my team about that.
This call is from a federal prison.
What it is Jeff Lowe and James Garrison and Lauren, they turned over their cell phones to my lawyers back in 22, I think it was, when the government took their zoo away from them. And we have 700 phone recordings and videos of the federal agents telling them how to fabricate text messages and lie.
Wow.
Okay? But they forgot to go in the cache files and delete the cache files on the phone, so my lawyers recovered, oh my God, Michael, videos of them, the girls, and all of if you go to joeexoticofficial.com and the drop-down box and go to the evidence link, go watch some of those videos. It'll turn your stomach about that Lauren was secretly recording Jeff while they were fighting about and girls and everything else. It's all there. It's crazy. So to keep me shut up and to keep the evidence from getting out, they keep filing fake reports on my social media.
Copyright, yeah.
And Twitter shut me down.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so I'm pretty sure they got a backup account going. So if you could kind of tell everybody about that.
Yeah, we're going to have the links to all your social media in their YouTube description, and we'll have it on the screen as well. So we're about to get cut off. I'll speak to you at 8 o'clock for part 2.
Okay.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Guys, early this year, I went on a bulk, and I want to thank all the lovely fans out there for pointing out how fat and disgusting I look and how I look like shit. But now I'm leaning back out. And if you want to see how I look like lean, well, that's where sheath underwear comes in. So the first time I put on sheath underwear, this is way back in the Gas Digital days, I'm like, what the F is this crap? Because it's underwear with 2 pouches patented dual pouch technology, one part for one part of your male anatomy, one part for another part of your male anatomy. And you're putting your boys in there, you're like, I don't know about this. And I have worn sheath every single day since then. It's the only underwear I wear because it is so damn comfortable. And try it out. At first, you'll be like, okay, Malice is crazy. No one's disputing that. But I'm not wrong that sheath is the most comfortable underwear you're ever going to wear in your life. And I got to tell you, there's something really fun about being on an interview, being on a date, and knowing your underwear is grabbing your junk in two different ways. And you're sitting there like totally normally, but you're thinking to yourself, if only they knew. Well, you know right now that I'm wearing sheath all the time, even in the shower. No, okay, not in the shower. I don't shower. So if you go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Malice, you get 20% off. They also have cool t-shirts. I wear the t-shirts to the gym. They've got new materials like bamboo. It sounds crazy, but it's actually softer than other stuff. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Malice. You get 20% off your order, and you'll see why it is something I have worn every day for years. Thank you, Sheath, for being such a longtime sponsor and having me in your ads. Guys, I want to talk to you about a sponsor that is near and dear to my heart, something that has meant a lot to me in making my quality of life improve over my lifetime, and that is probiotics. As many of you know, when I was a kid, I had stomach issues all my life. It was always a problem. I was very skinny. Whenever I ate, it was an issue. Then I had a friend who had Crohn's, and he suggested probiotics. And since he wasn't one of these, woo-woo types, I'm like, let's give it a shot. And it worked. And I swear by it. And I'm very happy to be able to promote a great probiotics company, which is Just Thrive. They also have a new product called Digestive Bitters, which help with natural GLP-1 production, controls cravings, helps you keep satisfied longer, comfortable digestion, and all that good stuff. So less bloat and burps. But here's the thing. If you've had stomach issues like I did, you think, well, this is just how I am. And then I'm here to tell you, you don't have to live that way. And just try it. It worked for me. My nephews are on it as well. All you have to do is go to justthrivehealth.com and use promo code WELCOME. You get 20% off. And here's the thing, it's risk-free. So if you have been suffering with stomach issues, digestive issues, just try it. I'm begging you. Go to justthrivehealth.com, use code WELCOME, save 20% off your order. Probiotics are what I use, and the digestive bitters when sometimes I've been hitting my macros a little too hard. So justthrivehealth.com, code WELCOME, you get 20% off. And thank you, Just Thrive, for making so many people's lives so much better. Let's get back to the show.
You may begin speaking now.
Okay, so by the way, Root, what's his name? Your attorney, Root, we're going to get a hold of him. We're going to talk to him for half an hour and add this to this episode so everyone gets the story about why you should be pardoned.
Awesome.
Okay. I have to ask you this because then when I ask you this question, I can get it to Joe Rogan. Are you familiar with the show Chimp Crazy, and what are your thoughts about it?
And I knew Tanya way before Chimp Crazy or Tiger King.
Okay.
And, that's exactly how Eric Good got everybody in Tiger King to do stupid shit because he had an agenda and everybody else just got wrapped up in the fame.
Right.
Because Tanya doesn't act like that in real life. None at all. Okay? None whatsoever. She actually came to my wedding. I've been to monkey picnics with her. She's actually a very nice lady.
Okay.
And what they did to her, I'm ashamed of what they did to her. Eric Good should be ashamed of what he's done. But he works for PETA, so.
Right. Okay. What do you think about chimps in captivity or people having chimps as pets?
Okay. I had 5 chimps of my own, okay? What I've learned through all of this is, I had what I thought was a state-of-the-art chimp facility for my chimps. And, my chimps lived good. I mean, they had the best food, and hell, they had a TV and a VCR and everything else. And I sat and ate breakfast with them every morning and everything. But when I got ready to leave the park, and I actually called Brittany Pete with PETA for help,
Mhm.
moving all of my animals. Okay, and she hooked me up with I think her name was Janet down at Chimphaven in Florida,
Mhm.
and they came and got my chimps. Okay, and I had two male chimps that were always side by side, but I was always scared to put them together because I was scared they'd kill each other.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, well, she put them together, and then she sent me pictures of them hugging and shit, and I'm like, and she has like acreage with full trees and everything else, and even though I loved my chimps as much as I did, I ashamed of myself because of how much I deprived them of what uh, they should have been allowed to have. And I think a lot of that I learned by being in solitary confinement for 2 years and 8 months.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what I went through being taken away from social society, I would never advocate for a chimp being in captivity as a pet ever again.
Why? Why? What ostensible? What possible reason would they have to put you in solitary, especially for that long?
Okay, this is how they had this all planned out. Okay, I left the zoo in June 16th of 2018. I walked away. I shipped out as many animals as I could because I knew Jeff Lowe couldn't run a zoo. I didn't want anybody getting killed, so I got as many dangerous animals out of there as I could before I left.
Mhm.
And I left the zoo, and I went to Pensacola, Florida, rented a house, got a job washing dishes at a restaurant on the beach.
Mhm.
And I was perfectly happy. 3 months later, here they come and arrest me for this bogus murder for hire charge. Okay, so they hold me in a little county jail called Grady County in Chickasha, Oklahoma. And my niece testifies, and my sister, that I would be a flight risk. So they hold me without bond.
Oh my God.
Okay? And they kept me in solitary confinement so I couldn't help find evidence. I couldn't get out to work to hire a lawyer of my own. I couldn't do anything to help defend myself. So the entire time through my trial and sentencing, I was in solitary confinement by myself. And Lord, I don't know if you've seen the bloody pictures from what I went through in solitary confinement.
No.
Man, the guards beat the hell out of me, tied me naked in a chair, and put me in a shower with no lights for so long the skin came off me.
Oh my God.
And nobody cares. Nobody. You know. So that was their way of beating me because hell, I couldn't get in my email to help find the evidence, to prove that I was innocent and prove that I did this and I didn't do this. I asked for almost 30 witnesses. One, and we're talking John Rinke, the manager of the zoo for 14 years.
Yeah.
I didn't get one witness, not one.
Wow. That's how are you? How are you now? How is your health now?
I have prostate cancer and lung cancer, and
Oh my
I
God.
still get blood transfusions every month.
Oh my God.
From my immune disease that I was born with.
Wow. Okay. How's your mental health?
2 years and 8 months of laying in solitary confinement. I mean, I have to admit, I laid there and begged God for my heart to stop every day. But now, hell, I'm 4.5 years from the door if I don't get a pardon. And what keeps me going is I have George, out there waiting on me in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and B, I'm gonna walk out of here and I'm gonna tell the true story of what the hell really happened because every reporter that I talk to or every reporter that comes out in the news, they say that I have 18 animal cruelty charges. I have never been accused, charged, or convicted of animal abuse or animal cruelty. I'm not in here for that. The 5 tigers that I put to sleep, even though I did it with a gun because that's what my protocol said to do with my vet and my USDA inspector, they charged me with taking them without a permit. They didn't charge me for shooting them or being cruel. They charged me. They said that I should have had a permit. And that's part of the lawsuit that I filed against Black Pines Animal Sanctuary a couple months ago because they were going to neuter my tigers, and they put me in prison under the word take for the Endangered Species Act, which means to harm, harass, shoot, hunt, kill, collect, or capture.
Right.
Okay. Oh, well, first of all, a tiger in America doesn't belong on the endangered species list. Okay?
Right.
It just doesn't. All right. But if they're going to say that I harmed or harassed or killed a tiger without a permit, cutting his balls off is killing the species. Right. So I'm suing them for violating the Endangered Species Act. And what's going to happen, Michael, is they're either all going to have to obey the law or they're going to have to take them off the endangered species list and remove 18 of my charges.
Does it make you feel better knowing that there's so many people out there who are such fans of you and who are rooting for you?
It does. And let me tell you, when I first came to actual prison, they brought me my mail in Walmart sacks, plastic Walmart sacks. And I've answered every letter. And, I've never seen how popular I am out in the world, but I know that by how many letters I get. And it's the people from all over the world. And I get letters from Bulgaria, Australia, the United Kingdom, Iceland, everywhere. And it's the people all over the world that have kept me alive.
Yeah, I think you'll be very surprised, hopefully as soon as possible, how many people have warm feelings for you and just think it's horrific that you're kind of being. Is the prison you're in a safe one? Is it high security? What's the quality of life there?
Okay, well, prison period is pathetic.
Of course,
in America. It just is. Our government has no room to talk about any other country's prison system, but the prison I'm in, it's a medical facility, and it's kind of like a college campus. Really, there's no sales. I'm not in a sale.
Oh, okay.
There's no bars. Everything is dorms, open dorms. We have an extremely nice recreation yard. There's pool tables and workout stuff, and a nice big track, and handball courts and volleyball courts and everything else. So there's a lot to do. And I've taken, just in the last 6 months, I've completed 26 courses. So I've got 26 certifications in the last 6 months. So there's a lot to do.
Yeah, and your physical safety it sounds like it's not in danger from other inmates, which obviously concern.
Because the place that I'm at is a low, and it's a medical yard. So everybody here is waiting to go home. They're almost at the door. So nobody wants to fuck up.
Right, of course.
Go back to another medium prison.
Of course. So this Big Cat Act that you talked about earlier, I looked it up earlier. I don't think people realize it passed under Biden, and it's pretty insane because you're not allowed to like even pet a big cat. And growing up, one of the things that we always heard is animal ambassadors, right? When you're a kid and you go to a zoo and you see an animal in real life, it means something to you. You're like, I have to protect this thing. It's not just a picture on a screen. It's something that has meaning, and it's magical. So to take that away is crazy to me.
And we traveled all over America with baby tigers, letting people sit in a cage and pet them and lay down and love on them and everything else, because you can't get someone that has never been to India or never been to Siberia to really give a shit about saving something they've never seen. But once they sit in that cage for 15 minutes and they fell in love with them baby tigers, that's exactly what they are, is animal ambassadors. And then you can get people to help quit using palm oil, quit destroying the rainforest, all kinds of stuff. And Big Cat Rescue Act and Joe Biden and Carole Baskin just killed it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the long-term consequences, and there's this huge industry about this so-called protecting endangered species. But if these species get protected, these people are out of work.
Right.
It's really kind of, there's even endangered species chocolate bars, and half the species that are on the bars aren't even endangered. Like the red-eyed tree frog, it's $5. It's least concern. It's just crazy. This kind of a lot of this. Well, anyway, that's a whole separate thing. I have to ask this: if you were in a room with Carole Baskin right now, what would you say to her?
Okay, a lot of people are misconstrued about mine and Carole's argument and disagree. Carole, the only time I ever saw Carole in real life was at my trial. Okay, me and Carole had this marketing feud going on. Okay, when I found out in 2006, she wrote an article for the Daily Oklahoman about a little shitty roadside zoo, and it was about me. I never even heard of Carole Baskin until then. And I Googled her, and the first thing that came up was her husband's missing. Okay? And presumed that she fed him to the tiger. So that's when the police chief and me kicked in. I was like, okay, well, if this lady's going to start slandering me, I'm going to find out what's she really done with her husband. Okay, so over the years, I interviewed her volunteers. I got her original diary. I got his original death certificate. I got everything. All right, but she made money and a lot of money convincing people that I abused baby tigers by taking them away from their mom and letting you pet them. Okay, and she built this website called 911 Animal Abuse. Okay, and I was her most wanted. Well, I had JoeExoticTV.com, okay, and we did a show every night, and we had over 70,000 people a night watching my show, okay, and I made money to fund my zoo by convincing people she was batshit crazy and she killed her husband, okay, because she's so easy to make look like a fool. I mean, you saw some of the shit on Tiger King. She's a lunatic. So that was the extent of me and Carole's fight, okay? And then she sued me for copyright infringement one night because I got a picture off of one of her volunteers' Facebook of them in big cat uniform sitting on the back of a golf cart, and they just got done beating 3 rabbits in the head, and they were all bloody to feed to the tigers, and they were laughing about it. All right, well, feed a rabbit to a tiger. I could really give a shit less, okay?
Right.
But because she caused me so much grief, I sent that picture to every rabbit rescue in the world, okay? And they ate her a new ass. I mean, they tore her up. So what did she do? 3 months after I posted that picture, she buys it for $5 from the volunteer, and she copyrights it.
Oh, wow.
And she sues me. Okay, and me and my mom spent $500,000 on lawyers defending a copyright lawsuit in Florida. And finally, the lawyers just said, look, man, let her get a judgment, no matter how much it is. And just, it's in Florida. Go to Oklahoma and file bankruptcy. So we did. And she sued the bankruptcy court. Okay, so she got she had that $1 million judgment. Well, she spent the next 10 years trying to get $1 million out of me. Right. Okay, but I didn't have anything in my name, so she couldn't get no money. So put me in jail and getting my zoo was her payback. But if I was sitting in a room with her right now, I would first of all, I would have to say, Carole, you're a mess. Okay? Because since Tiger King, you've been on Dancing with the Stars. Right. You came out as bisexual. Poor Howard. I feel sorry for Howard. He has competition. And then she went public and offered to help me get a pardon from Trump if I turned all of my friends in. Okay? Oh, wow. So I would just have to say, Carole, look, you won. You sold your property for $19.5 million, and you don't even take care of tigers anymore. Okay, so you accomplished what you needed accomplished. But who I have a problem with is Jeff Lowe. Jeff is dangerous. Okay, I've seen him beat employees. Oh my God. I've seen him videotapes of him and girls after drugging them at the zoo.
Oh my God.
I know how him and James were making fake IDs and stealing people's identities in order to buy shit on the internet and sell it at a James store. And sex trafficking over 75 Asian girls. I have evidence of everything, and that's why they gotta shut me up all the time.
Wow.
But Jeff, I say I would never be here if it wasn't for Jeff and James.
Okay.
Carole didn't put me here. Jeff and James put me here because they've got to be federal narcs. It's the only way they cannot be in jail for some of this shit. Because the federal agent, Matt Bryan, knew about their credit card fraud and sex trafficking and everything else. So he covered all that shit up during the trial for them.
Okay, understood.
Guys, one of the reasons why I live in Austin and not in New York City, which is failing badly, is because I wanted to feel safe in my home. I wanted to know that if someone, God forbid, broke in, I would be in a position to defend myself. So God bless the Republic of Texas. But for my fellow Texans and for the rest of you in this country, I want to talk about Simply Safe, because Simply Safe is a security system that stops crime before it starts. Because traditional security systems react. They only take action when someone has broken in. What Simply Safe does is they have an AI-powered camera system. It detects threats while they're still outside your home, and they alert real security agents. And those agents take actions while the guy's outside. They confront the intruder. They let them know they're being watched on camera. Cops are on their way, and they even sound a loud siren and trigger a spotlight if necessary. That's real security. There's no long-term contracts, no hidden fees. You cancel any time, and it's been named the best home security system by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. 60-day money-back guarantee. Try it. See the difference for yourself. We all should feel safe in our homes, and Simply Safe can help bring that about. Go to simplysafe.com, simplisafe.com/malice. You get half off. Simplysafe.com, simplisafe.com/malice. And you could have peace of mind just like I do in my house. Let's get back to the show.
So what message would you have to people? How can they send you, it sounds like you're taking care of, like, in terms of food or anything like that, but how would you want people to, reach out to you, or what could they do to help you?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm in the process of putting on a new lawyer with Rogers, and he might be able to tell you the name because we haven't sealed the deal just yet, so I don't want to say his name.
Sure.
But it's a longtime school friend of Trump's, and I've got to come up with $200,000 for a retainer for this lawyer. So getting on joeexoticofficial.com and either buying something, I hate to ask for money from anybody. So I always like to say, go to my website and buy something cool because there's all kinds of merchandise on there.
Okay.
Then that way you get something in return
Sure.
for the money that you donate.
Sure.
But there's a Venmo and a PayPal on there if you just want to donate money. Or there's even a link to how you can put money on my books because, like, right now I only have $4 on my books here at the prison to eat with or whatever.
What's that website again? I'm going to send money right now.
It's joeexoticofficial.com. But, the big thing is I need people to go to that evidence link and look at the evidence that we have and then start asking, questions to every politician that makes a post on social media, to the news media. How come Fox and Newsmax and CNN isn't talking about how the government's covered up sex trafficking and raping people so you can't pet a baby tiger? Think about that for a second, okay? They covered up 75 Asian girls being sex trafficked. They covered up Jeff and Lauren admitting to raping girls, okay? So you couldn't pet a baby tiger. That's been put me in prison. My parents have died even since I've been in here. Over you petting a baby tiger. That's pretty miraculous.
I'm very glad to hear that you're, despite the circumstances, seem to have hope, which is so important, and are in as good spirits as I think I can expect.
Well, I have a clemency application in at the U.S. Pardon Attorney's office at the White House, and he did contact my lawyers, Roger Roots. They can explain that to you. And
Yep.
he did contact the prison and wanted an update. And the prison, my counsel called me in and showed me what he was responding with, and he responded with the same thing. You know, Joe has completed 25 classes in the last 6 months. He's not been in trouble in over a couple of years, and the only time I was in trouble was a Hispanic guy took a picture of me on a cell phone. So I got in trouble too. And I've never disrespected the staff, and I'm 4.5 years from the door, so he recommended that I get released.
You'd be such a great asset to the community, speaking on behalf of wildlife and conservation and the importance of habitat preservation. There's so many things you're so informed about that can really make a positive difference in the world, and it's helping no one having you in jail.
No, and I have goals, Michael. One, I want to testify in front of Congress about prison reform because what I've seen and what I've witnessed, American taxpayers are getting ripped off, and nothing about what goes on in here fixes anybody.
Right.
If anything, it
Makes it worse.
It turns people into drug addicts because there's so many drugs in here. It's pathetic. But, places like Operation Smile was my favorite charity that I always did, other than my own organizations that I had. And I have a goal now that I have a platform to pull it off. Is I want to, when I get out, I'm setting a goal that I'm going to fix 5,000 little kids' faces.
Oh, that's it. Well, that charity is with kids with born with cleft palates, correct?
Right.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing, especially in third world countries.
And from prison, I have raised enough money to fix 11 so far, just from prison.
It's wonderful.
And then I want to get really involved in conservation.
Yes.
Okay. I want to get involved with the baby elephant orphanage in Africa and a baby orangutan orphanage in Borneo. Because when I was out in the world, I donated $70,000 to South Africa to hire rangers to save white rhinos. And see, none of that stuff got told on Netflix was how much charity work I do. I had my Animal Miracle Network where I granted last wishes for dying people. All of my music videos are about little kids being abused or dead. I opened the zoo every holiday for free, and I cooked for people that had nowhere to go. Everybody thinks it was about fame and money. I opened the zoo for free more than I charged.
And no one runs a zoo if they don't love animals. It's not a thing. Yeah. You have to, because it's so much work. You clean up poop all the time. It's high maintenance. This one's sick. This one's acting a little different. It's 24/7. You don't get a vacation because the animal needs to eat on Christmas, New Year's Eve, and every holiday in between. And people just kind of forget that.
But you know what's crazy about Netflix and the people who were in Netflix, okay? Every person that was involved with my zoo never knew shit about an exotic animal until they came to work for me and I taught them. But they all were the experts on the movie. Okay?
Right.
Joe got no credit except for being an asshole. And it's funny that not one of them, I'm talking not one of them, even Ricky never had the experience until he came to the zoo. And they learned to be experts. But all of the interviews, all of the little movies that everybody has done, and all the talk shows everybody's done, they're the experts. And I think that's hilarious. Everybody lived at the zoo. I provided housing. I provided free electricity, free phone, free gas, free water. They used company vehicles to go anywhere because they didn't have even a car of their own. And they got $300 a week pay.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the hell are you going to rent a house and pay all your bills and have $300 every Friday in your pocket? These people had it made. But they portrayed me in the show to have worked everybody for free. Carole had 100 volunteers that worked for free.
Right.
Joe paid everything.
How did you find out the show was even happening?
Oh God! When people started calling or emailing when I was at the jail, my lawyers, my public defenders, had told me, because I was married at the time to Dylan, and apparently he signed a contract with Netflix and sold them all of my computers with all the footage on there for $2.6 million.
Holy crap!
Yeah, didn't give me a dime.
Wow. So you started getting calls in jail and prison, excuse me, and we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Did you have? Yeah. You must have had no idea it would be huge too.
Texas Monthly Magazine did a big thing. Ghost Hunters has done an expose. Kate McKinnon with Saturday Night Live made a movie. Discovery ID made a movie. Yeah, I didn't get a dime from none of it.
But is there at least the comfort knowing that now you're not forgotten, and that kind of is putting somewhat pressure on the president to do something about this?
It is. I look at it two different ways. I could die tomorrow, and I made my mark on this world.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe something good would come out of it, because there's going to be a lot of upset people if I die before I get out of here.
Yes.
And I know President Trump knows who I am. In 2020, Stephen Nelson with the New York Post asked him during a COVID briefing right at the White House, "Are you going to pardon the Tiger King?" And he said Joe Exotic, and he promised to look at my case, but he never has, that I know of, or I wouldn't be here. But what a lot of people also don't stop and realize too is, I got arrested, charged, convicted, and sentenced under President Trump's first term.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I was already arrested in 18, convicted in 19, sentenced in 20, and that was all during his term. I would hope that President Trump would make it right.
Well, there's another reason for you to hope, which is I know during the first term we were trying very hard to get Russ Ulbricht out, and the DOJ was stonewalling it and refusing to let it move. And my understanding is that Trump was amenable, and when he was campaigning in 2024, he said he's going to free Ross on day one. Now, he broke his promise and released him on day two, but the fact of the matter is this is a very different DOJ than the first term. And they're a lot more receptive people who have been railroaded for political purposes.
Right. But how do we reach him? How do we get past this roadblock? I mean, you look at. I haven't seen Tiger King 2 season 2. Have you?
Yeah, but it's just basically like the stuff that was on the cutting room floor. It's not really new.
Okay, but they all admitted to perjury on world television. Okay, and Alan Glover took the producers of Tiger King and my lawyer John Phillips to the zoo and showed him where he hid a murder weapon where they were going to decapitate me. And I'm still here.
That's, I mean, the justice system is not exactly correctly named, and I don't need to tell you that you've been the victim of it.
It's just sad that it's taken this long to get his attention after it being aired on world television.
Well,
that they lied and they had a plot to kill me.
Well, I think the whole point is doing what I can and other people getting the message out, because a lot of people have a very different set of understanding of the case based on that Netflix show. And it's it's a funny story that, oh, look at this crazy Joe Exotic and this awful, that bitch Carole Baskin, and ha ha ha. And when you have the joke, people are less interested in the facts.
Right.
And you're the victim.
And that's one thing that I hope everybody that hears this thinks about too, is I'm a real person that was portrayed for entertainment, and I'm more than just a TV character or a costume for Halloween or a meme, I've lost everything that I ever worked for, and I never even had a speeding ticket before this.
Right. And yeah, and it's also interesting again, like I said to you earlier, so many people have such positive opinions about you, and your just as a person in general. It's I say it's this is very unfortunate. That's a very weak word to say what I feel, but you know what I mean.
And this also has brought some people that didn't like me to start with to my camp, because Angela's one of them. me and Angela, me and Angela used to be at war.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, and Angela right now is one of my biggest supporters of getting apart.
So just for people watching this who don't know, and you're referring to Angela McArdle, who's been a previous guest on this show.
Yeah, and she used to be the chair of the Libertarian Party. Yeah, and because I ran as a Libertarian for governor. But yeah, she's just been awesome. So this show, done some good too, because it brought some positive to some negative that we had in the world.
What would you? Let me ask you one last question, and I'm sure you get asked this a lot. What would you say to someone who sees a tiger cub and thinks this would be a good pet?
First of all, it takes a qualified person to be able to take care of one, because it's really cute when it's little, but it's going to grow up, and in 6 months, it's going to be a tiger. And unless you get a tiger cub when its eyes are still closed, it's never going to be a pet. It's never going to be your pet. So it's just going to grow up and be a 400-pound tiger that's going to eat a lot and require a big cage. But that's another thing that people that passed the Big Cat Safety Act, and I wish politicians would repeal that whole thing. Because, look, if you have a tiger in captivity, and if you look at the statistics, ask AI, how many people have been killed in a big city zoo versus a private home of tigers? Okay, and it's because big city zoos have no contact with their tigers and most of their animals. So why would you want a 500-pound killing machine locked in a cage that somebody might leave the door open, or it might call out, or a trainer gets stuck in a cage? That's why more people get killed in big city zoos than they ever do in a private setting. Because from a baby tiger growing up, why would you want a baby tiger to grow up and hate people? Why would you even want that to happen?
Yeah. And so the chimp people, chimps also bad pets?
Same way, man. Unless you're gonna hack them all up, like sawing their teeth and
right
down and capping their teeth, and as much as and animal people are gonna chew me up and spit me out for this. The people that I've been around, circus people, people that have big primates like that, they beat them to submission.
Oh my God.
That's how they make them pets. All right. I mean, look at the lady that got her face ate off. She was giving hers pills. I forget what. Xanax. They just don't belong in a private home.
Yeah. One last question. So, I used to be into saltwater aquariums, and the saltwater people look down on the freshwater people, right? So who did the big?
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Well, I got to ask you is who did the big cat people look down on? Because there's got to be someone you guys look down on.
The big cat people. The big cat people and the monkey people fight.
Okay. I knew it. I knew it.
Why that? And that's 100% true too. Why does a saltwater aquarium person think he's better than a freshwater?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because I can't change my water from the tap. I got to mix it up, and I got to worry about the salinity and the pH and all this other stuff.
Nitrates and the nitrites.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes a lot more expertise.
Yes. And the fish are fancy and longer lived, and they're more expensive. So that's wait. So why the big cat people look down on the monkey people? Why the monkey people look down on the big cat people?
Because big cats require training and knowledge. Monkey people just got to beat their monkey. when you have to slap your monkey to get it to behave, spank your monkey. There's a reason why people say that.
Yes.
Go spank your monkey.
Yeah. So what do the monkey people think of the big cat people?
Same thing.
What do you mean?
They think they're better than big cat.
Yeah, but why? What would they say is wrong with the big cat people?
Because their monkey sits at a table and drinks out of a
Oh,
cup.
yeah. Okay. So you guys have something in a cage, but we're some member of the family there.
Right.
Okay, so that's the argument. Joe, thank you so much for taking the time. This is going to air on Wednesday. I'm going to speak with your attorney, and I'm going to have his interview with the legal aspects tailed on at the end. JoeExoticOfficial.com is the website, and I'm going to be sending you some cash right now.
Okay. Hey, and be sure to tell everybody what my new Twitter X account is, because I had it up to almost 90,000 people.
Yep, that's going to be in the show notes as well. We're going to put on the screen.
But I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's James Altucher. I've been an entrepreneur, investor, best-selling writer, stand-up comic, and whatever it is I'm interested in, I get obsessed. Yes, it's led to success, but it's also led to such heartbreaking failure. I have failed more times than I can count. I wish in my life I had had people to talk to. That's why I started the James Altucher Show and bring on some of the most brilliant minds in every area of life. People like Richard Branson, Sarah Blakely, Mark Cuban, Danica Patrick, Gary Kasparov, and I wanted to find out exactly how they've navigated the highs, the lows, and everything in between. No fluff, just raw stories and real advice. I've talked to 1,500 of the most amazing people on the planet. So if you want to learn from the best and skip the same old canned interviews, we're all about helping you find your next big idea, level up your thinking, and ultimately to choose yourself. So let's do this together. Subscribe now to The James Altucher Show.
Let's get back to the show. Folks, I want to take a second to introduce Joe Exotic's attorney, Roger Roots. Roger, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show to talk about Joe's pardon or commutation. And you know the very first question everyone's going to ask, right? Joe's in jail for a reason. I saw the show with my own eyes. He tried to hire a hitman. The guy's a menace. Let's put him in jail, throw away the key. So, you know, that's the most common criticism you're going to have. Can you please, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, it's just not true. Joe is doing a 21-year federal prison sentence. He's currently at the federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas. He was convicted of a variety of charges, including lots of animal charges, including, selling animals without proper paperwork and things like that. But the most important, the most significant charges, of course, are the 2 counts of so-called murder for hire, where it was alleged that he had plotted to murder his rival, Carole Baskin, the famous, you could say a competitor in the tiger zoo business. She operates out of the state of Florida. Of course, he operates out of Oklahoma City, and there's no love lost. There never was between the 2 zoos. No question that they certainly didn't like each other. She had sued Joe Exotic and won a $1 million judgment in a trademark lawsuit, trademark infringement. And one thing led to another. Pretty soon, the federal government was planting undercover informants. His friends showed up in his office wearing wires and things like that, recording conversations. And, I think it's our worst fear, all of us who are activists or involved in anything that is remotely controversial, or if we are activists politically, our worst fear is that our friends are going to come and record us chit-chatting and joking around. And he had a friend come in wearing a wire and starts conversations about, hey, that lady over there in Florida, Carole Baskin, hey, I got this guy who can take care of her for you. And Joe, if you know Joe Exotic, and of course, I think this comes out in that series, Tiger King, he's a guy that likes to talk, and he likes to, let's put it this way. He has a gift of gab, and he shoots his mouth off quite a bit. Anyway, so he's the kind of guy that is in a conversation, and he's quite a colorful, sort of a redneck personality, and very nice guy. But he starts joking around. Oh, really? What would it cost? $10,000. Oh, I don't have $10,000. You need a gun? Why don't you buy your own gun? I mean, he just gets in a conversation. Of course, most people would probably wise up and realize that it's a setup, and they'd say, get the hell out of my office. But, Joe likes to joke around. he gets convicted of 2 counts of murder for hire. He never tried to hire anyone to murder Carole Baskin. All parties agree that Carole Baskin was never harmed. She, in fact, is the ultimate winner in this whole case. So Joe was basically set up, and he is wrongly imprisoned for crimes he did not commit. And I just want to say he has appealed. He won his sentencing appeal, which was kicked back down by the U.S. 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. But he goes back to be resentenced. Instead of 22 years, the trial judge gave him 21 years. And he had basically, he won his appeal, and it should have been, 8 years or something like that. He's already been in prison for, I think, 7 years now. So he really should be out. And he certainly didn't even commit the crimes that he was convicted of. And of course, what I'm mostly involved in is the fact that after his trial in Oklahoma City back in 2018 or 19, the government's witnesses came forward, and some of them signed sworn affidavits admitting that they had lied on the witness stand at his trial. So, most of us, when the government's primary witnesses against us have retracted and recanted their testimony, we would think that we would get a new trial, right? And we've appealed this to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver. They issued a ruling basically denying our appeal. We've gone in for a petition for rehearing en banc, meaning all the judges or at least 10 of the judges of the 10th Circuit, and they issued a ruling basically sustaining the 3-judge panel. So we're in a situation now where we are preparing to seek certiorari with the U.S. Supreme Court.
So let me ask you this. This something confusing to me. I would be under the understanding, or I am under the understanding, that if I, go and say, Roger Roots, tried to do this and that, and then later, and I say this under oath, it's sworn testimony, and then later I recant, why am I not in trouble for perjury or I mean, things like that?
Exactly. These witnesses are taking a risk, you would think, coming forward and admitting that they lied on the witness stand, and you would think that the justice system, the Justice Department, would have an interest in correcting the record, but they haven't. They've got Joe Exotic in prison for 21 years, and they have basically just decided to just sort of wash their hands of it and not look into it any further. By the way, there are federal officers that also clearly are implicated in coaching these witnesses, probably getting them to lie on the stand. So it's a touchy subject, I think. But really, You're absolutely right. This whole thing needs to be dug into and unraveled.
I'm glad, be able to use my platform to help. Joe and I had a great conversation. It's going to be the first part of this episode. I'm also curious, what reasoning did these, the 10 panel and the 3 panel of judges give for not, downgrading such a harsh sentence?
Well, let me go back. That was before I got into the case. So. Okay. Essentially, a lot of people in federal court are charged with multiple counts, and frequently there's a fear that if convicted on all counts, that they will be sentenced consecutively. And so, if you see a guy's accused, indicted for, give an example of John Bolton right now. John Bolton, I think, is charged with, I forget, is it 18 counts? I forget. I forget the news story. But anyways, so. A layman, someone who's not experienced in the law, might think, well, if he's looking at possible 10 years on each count, he's convicted on every count, he could do 180 years in prison, right? Well, it turns out that there's a lot of case law and there's sentencing guidelines. That's not the case. The norm in federal court, I would say the norm in most state courts as well, is when you are convicted of multiple counts, you will be sentenced concurrently. In other words, You will serve all those counts at the same time together. All right. That's the norm. All right. The law allows for consecutive sentences in extreme cases. But the sentencing guidelines clearly say that when it's the same, let's say the same criminal allegation, the same sort of, when multiple counts all are enveloping the same sort of criminal kind of idea, the guy should be sentenced concurrently if convicted
Right.
on multiple counts. So bottom line, he won his appeal. 10th Circuit agreed that the lower judge had wrongly sentenced him to consecutive sentences. He wins his appeal, goes back to the lower judge. Remember, this is the same judge. And this judge, it's an old joke that when a judge gets overturned on appeal, he then gets the case and he then tries to overturn the court of appeal
Of course. Right.
because he's embarrassed or whatever.
Right.
It's human nature. And so the same judge sentenced him instead of 22 years to 21 years. And it's so foul. I can't even describe it.
This is a very basic question, but I really want it to be clarified for the audience. Did Joe Exotic at any point hand over someone a large sum of money for the purposes of murdering Carole Baskin?
The answer is absolutely not. Because
that's the impression.
Yeah, well, that's what he was convicted of, and the witnesses have come forward. By the way, let's put it this way: he was convicted of 2 counts of murder for hire. The first one, again, was this conversation where an undercover FBI agent had come in with a friend of his friend who was wearing a wire, and said, "Hey, here's a guy who can help you with that lady, that woman over there, Carole Baskin." He gets in this conversation, never once paid 1 penny to this undercover FBI agent. In fact, Joe probably will tell you that he smelled something fishy, and he thought it was some kind of setup, and he was just joking around about, I don't have $10,000. What about 3? What about 2? Anyways, but he gets nonetheless convicted. Not 1 penny changed hands. Then there's count 1. The first one was Alan Glover, who was this illiterate guy, a laborer who worked at the zoo. And basically, he had come into the zoo. It's sort of a long story, but he had come into the zoo with this rival business partner. And anyway, there was a lot of bad blood. So one thing led to another. All the other zoo workers couldn't stand the guy. So he had paid this guy $3,000 loan to travel to South Carolina. Now, remember, Carole Baskin's in Florida. All right.
Right.
Joe gave this guy $3,000 loan to travel to South Carolina, basically to get rid of the problem. This guy was not liked by the other workers. He was constantly causing problems. So basically, he gave him $3,000 loan to leave and just get. He basically fired him or just wanted him to leave. But that from there, there was a lot of bad blood, and that individual, Alan Glover, who has since come forward saying he lied. He said this $3,000 was this murder for hire payment. By the way, his story makes no sense, and here's what's really bizarre: the feds never even suggested prosecuting this guy. Now think about how ridiculous! In a murder for hire case, the so-called hired hitman, the guy that's supposedly been hired to do the job, quote unquote, is not himself in any trouble. He took the witness stand in that trial. And by the way, he admits that he lied. He admits that he said falsely that he was not protected by any immunity deal. It turns out he was, but it wasn't written. So here's one thing that the federal prosecutors are doing, and that's not just this case. They're getting away with it everywhere, is they don't have a written immunity deal, but they get the guy on the witness stand to falsely say there's no immunity. But what there is what I call the sword of Damocles immunity, which is basically the feds listen to this guy on the witness stand and they sort of let him know, hey, if you testify the way we want you to, you'll be fine. So
where you get this stuff, you know where this stuff comes from, Roger? The USSR. This is what happened in the 30s when everyone got on that stand in Moscow and Leningrad, whatever. And they said whatever they damn were told to say, because they knew if they didn't put on a good show, as soon as everyone leaves that room, it's not going to end well for them. So I'm not surprised that our federal agents or prosecutors are taking a page from that book, because it's a very effective one. It's not, here's an immunity, go tell the truth. It's, here's an immunity, do what I want you to do. And you know what I want you to do. And if you don't do what I want you to do, then you're going to have real consequences, because I'm the state, and what are you going to do about it? And no one will believe you if you told them. No one will believe you. There's no proof.
Let's put it this way. It's preposterous on its face that he was not protected with any kind of understanding of immunity.
Of course.
It's preposterous. No one in his right mind would take the witness stand and testify if he himself thought he was going to be charged with being a hired hitman.
And you know what
Um,
else is crazy? Like I think people watching this can wrap their heads around. You've got Tony Soprano, right? And you've got this like hitman, and they give the hitman immunity because they want to catch the big fish, right? Like you can wrap our heads around that. We could argue whether that's constitutional or not, whatever. I can understand it. No one is arguing that Joe Exotic is some big mafia kingpin, with the blood of children and drug trafficking and got illegal gambling on his hands. That's not the pretense here. So to claim that this guy needs to be kept safe so we can catch that big fish is also preposterous.
well, let me just say, it's funny, but in the world of exotic animals, he is a big fish. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a war going on with regard to regulation and with regard to the law of exotic animals. Carole Baskin is sort of the leader, or has
Yeah,
been the leader of the other side politically. So this is a political war, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know this.
it
There
is.
is a war. Joe Exotic, whose real name is Joe Maldonado, Joe Exotic is the libertarian. He was the leader of the libertarian side of this political war, you could say. Carole Baskin was the other side. Okay, so Carole Baskin's is with the PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. She advocates that no one should buy or sell big cats, tigers, or lions. No one should display or allow the public to go and pet these animals. And by the way, she's been successful. They recently, in the last
Yep.
couple of years, passed her, I think it's called the Big Cat Something Act. And
Safety Act, yeah.
yeah, exactly. She was the forces of more regulation. Joe Exotic was the forces of more freedom
Well,
with
I
regard to
don't even
exotic
think this is
animals.
but Roger, I don't even think this is a freedom issue because I know a lot about this from succulents and from saltwater aquariums. And here's how it works: is that anytime you have a rare species, you have two choices: get it in captivity or get it from the wild. And right now in the succulent subculture, there's a huge pressure. Don't buy poached plants. Get them from nurseries because what happens is I'll tell you a funny story. There's a very rare plant called White Slonia, and it's from Somalia, and the flower smells like poop and it has hairs on it because it's trying to mimic a butthole because it's pollinated by flies, right? And years ago there was one for sale somewhere. It was like $350. But what do plants like to do? Reproduce. So someone got another one, they pollinated it, and then in nature you have 100 seeds, maybe one becomes an adult. In the greenhouse you don't have predation, you don't have problems with the weather. So very quickly those two plants became 100 and then 10,000, and now you could buy White Slonia for $20. And there's more probably in cultivation than there are in nature. There's no pressure on the natural population. The problems with the natural population with this plant and with tigers, many other species, is habitat loss. People trying to hunt them for China, where they're like aphrodisiacs or stuff. The alternative, which Carole is now successfully fighting, is to have a breeding population. You have bloodline diversity, and then there's no pressure on the wildlife. And if you get a more stable situation, like which happened with elephants, you can reintroduce many of these species to the wild, and they can repopulate. So it's not just even a freedom thing. Even in terms of conservation, doesn't make any sense. It's just really kind of control for the sake of control. And it's really there's some species like you can't mail if it's indigenous to Chile. I can't mail it from like Europe to America. It's not endangered. Neither of those places doesn't exist. But if you have a nursery there and someone wants to get it here to propagate, you can't do it because there's all these weird laws. And the only thing that ends up hurting is the plant or the animal and their populations. It's really completely missing, no pun intended, the forest for the trees. And tigers, which are enormously under pressure, their habitats are being destroyed. And I'm sure Carole would agree. But what's her alternative? There's people are still going to poach them because they're poor, and the fewer there are, the more money that poacher is going to get for each cat that they take in the wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the point, Joe Exotic is a big fish. The feds have hated him for years. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has targeted him. He actually, at one time, this guy started with nothing. You talk
Right.
about a great businessman. He started with nothing and built himself up to being the largest owner of tigers in North America. believe it or not, in the middle of Oklahoma, of all places, not a big metropolitan area with lots of tourist traffic, but he built that zoo and created the largest tiger zoo in North America, possibly in the Western Hemisphere and possibly the world. I haven't really looked into that, but nobody has brought more tigers into the world than Joe Exotic has. And so he was a major target. He was the kingpin, and so federal prosecutors regarded him as a big prize, and they got him.
And the thing is, tigers are not indigenous to North America, and none of these tigers that he bred were taken from the wild. And in fact, every tiger he bred, that's one less tiger people are going to want to take from the wild. So it's really I think for some of these conservationists, their hearts very much are in the right place, but they're missing the big picture, and the species are what end up suffering. So people can visit, just to reiterate again, joeexoticofficial.com is his website. You guys want to buy merch like Joe wanted, or throw him some cash? I sent him some PayPal the other day. Is there anything else you'd want people to know about this case?
Yeah, well, Joe is also, but trying to get a presidential pardon. We are working on that for him as well. We hope, listen, we get beat up in federal court all the time. The federal courts are so brutal. They rule for the government most of the time, but we are hoping that the Supreme Court will grant cert in this case, which is always a long shot.
Yes.
But he needs, this guy, think of all the money that he made for Netflix, millions of dollars for Netflix, and he's absolutely broke, has not a penny to his name. They took everything he has, including the zoo that he built up from nothing. And so, yeah, he can really need and use anybody's support.
So I thank you for the work you're doing, and I hope you're successful in freeing Joe Exotic. Roger, running out of time, what has been your favorite part of this interview?
Well, I'll just say the guy's actually a wonderful person. I've met him in the prison several times. Believe it or not, I'm the guy that showed him the Netflix series. He had never seen it. So he had never seen the series, and he had remember that during the lockdown period, his show was one of the most watched programs, and he was sitting in prison the whole time, and he had never seen it. So, he was quite surprised at some of what was in that series. But I'll just say he's a wonderful guy. He's a funny guy. Really has a great sense of humor. He also has some chronic illnesses, and we're also seeking, just on the basis of compassion, to get him released from prison.
You are welcome.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.